For decades, India was seen as a country trying to catch up, adopting technologies from the West, following global economic models, and reacting to international changes. But that era is ending. Today, India is no longer following trends. It is setting them. It is no longer waiting for permission or direction from others. It is creating its own path and inspiring others to follow. The shift began when India chose to trust its own potential. Rather than imitating what others were doing, India started building its own identity, bold, confident, and future-focused. Decisions like launching the Unified Payments Interface, UPI, revolutionized how people handle money, not just in India, but around the world. Digital India is not just a campaign. It is a model that countries now study to improve their own systems. Startups are growing, not just in metro cities, but in small towns. Young minds are building solutions that solve real problems, from health tech in villages to space innovation that puts satellites in orbit at a fraction of global costs. India is proving that smart thinking and determination can beat even the biggest budgets. Politically, economically, and socially, India is taking bold steps. Trade policies are being redefined. Infrastructure is being built at record speed. Investments in green energy, space exploration, AI, and digital inclusion show that the country is thinking long-term. The world is noticing. Global leaders are no longer talking to India. They're talking with India. Tech giants are investing here. International summits look to India for fresh solutions. From business to diplomacy, from science to sustainability, India is taking a seat at the table, not as a guest, but as a leader. This transformation is not just about numbers and policies. It's about mindset, the belief that we don't need to wait for change. We can create it, that we don't need to copy. We can lead. India is setting the global rules now, not by chance, but by choice. The world is watching closely because the decisions being made today will shape the world of tomorrow. India's greatest resource is not oil, gold, or land. It's its people. With a population of over 1.4 billion, India holds the second largest human capital in the world. But numbers alone don't change the world. Knowledge, skills, and vision do. When 1.4 billion minds are trained, educated, and empowered, they don't just form a workforce. They become the driving force of global change. Think of it this way. Each child educated today is a future innovator, entrepreneur, scientist, teacher, or leader. Each skilled worker contributes not just to the economy, but to the future of civilization. When a nation invests in its people, in schools, universities, technology access, and skill development, it builds a foundation more powerful than any army or industry. India is doing just that. With the rise of digital learning platforms, national skill missions, and expanding internet access, even in rural areas, the country is transforming its population into its most valuable asset. Coding is being taught in small villages. Artificial intelligence is no longer a big city luxury. It's entering classrooms and job markets across states. This is not just education. This is empowerment. The youth of India, more than 50% of the population, are filled with energy, ideas, and ambition. When guided with the right tools and values, they will not only fuel the Indian economy, but will also shape global innovation and policy. Countries around the world are dealing with aging populations and shrinking workforces. India, on the other hand, is rising with a young, growing, and increasingly skilled population. This is why the global stage is turning its eyes toward India. Companies are not just outsourcing labor. They are investing in talent. Universities are partnering with Indian institutions. Startups led by young Indian minds are being recognized worldwide for their impact and creativity. The real strength of a country is not what lies under the ground, but what walks on it. And when 1.4 billion minds are equipped with knowledge, vision, and courage, they become an unstoppable force, not just for one nation, but for the world. India's future lies in its people. and the future is already taking shape. There was a time when India was seen as a follower, adopting innovations years after they had already transformed other parts of the world. But that story is changing. Today, India is not just embracing technology, it is creating it. From digital payments to space exploration, India is using innovation as a springboard to leap forward, not merely to catch up with the world, but to lead it. Take digital payments, for example. In many developed countries, people still rely on plastic cards or cash. But India built something entirely different. The Unified Payments Interface, UPI, a real-time mobile-first payment system that now handles billions of transactions every month. From small tea vendors to large corporations, everyone can now send and receive money instantly, securely, and without the need for expensive infrastructure. It is fast, simple, and revolutionary. And many countries are now looking to adopt the same model. Then there's space technology. India's space agency, ISRO, has shown the world what's possible with limited budgets but limitless determination. The Chandrayaan mission to the moon and the Mars orbiter mission prove that innovation isn't about how much money you spend, it's about how smart you work. India became the first Asian country to reach Mars, and it did so on a budget smaller than a Hollywood movie. India's startups are also pushing the boundaries in fields like artificial intelligence, fintech, biotechnology, and green energy. In Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, young entrepreneurs are building products that solve real-world problems, not just for India, but for the entire world. These are not copy-paste ideas from Silicon Valley. These are original solutions born from necessity, experience, and insight. Government initiatives like Digital India, Startup India, and Make in India are giving young minds the platforms and support they need to dream big. Innovation is no longer limited to big cities or elite institutions. It is becoming part of the everyday culture. India is showing the world that you don't need to follow someone else's path to succeed. You can create your own. With courage, creativity, and vision, India is leaping forward and showing that innovation is the fastest way to change the game. Every nation has its share of challenges, and India is no exception. From poverty to pollution, from infrastructure gaps to educational disparities, the problems are real. But what sets India apart is not just how it faces those challenges, but how it uses them. In India, problems are not seen as signs of weakness. They are seen as opportunities to grow, adapt, and lead. They are training grounds where resilience, creativity, and leadership are born. It's easy to lead when everything is going well, but true leaders are shaped in moments of difficulty. When systems are broken, when resources are limited, when answers are unclear, that's when the strongest minds rise. India has always produced leaders who have learned to thrive under pressure, build with less, and think beyond limitations. Whether it's building a world-class digital payment system in a country with limited banking access or launching affordable healthcare models in remote villages, India has consistently turned adversity into innovation. Entrepreneurs, teachers, engineers, and social workers are finding solutions not in air-conditioned boardrooms, but in real-world conditions that demand urgency and action. During the COVID-19 crisis, India manufactured and distributed vaccines at a scale that was unimaginable just years ago. It not only protected its own people, but also supplied vaccines to many other nations. In times of economic stress, Indian businesses have found ways to survive, adapt, and even grow, proving that the spirit of Jugaad, frugal innovation, is more than just a word, it's a mindset. Even in its political, environmental, and social challenges, India is creating the kind of leaders the world now needs. Bold, grounded, and problem-solving. These are not leaders born out of comfort, but from chaos. They don't give up in front of problems. They grow stronger because of them. The T. Greatness is never born from ease. It is born from struggle. And India, with all its complexity and contradictions, is the perfect training ground for the next generation of thinkers, doers, and dreamers. So when you see a problem in India, don't just see a flaw, see a future leader in the making. Because in this country, every crisis is a classroom and every obstacle is an invitation to rise. There was a time when success for an Indian entrepreneur meant making it big in another country. But today, that mindset has evolved. Indian entrepreneurs and professionals are now building global empires, not by leaving their roots behind, but by standing firmly on them. They are thinking globally, competing globally, and winning globally, all while staying deeply connected to Indian values, culture, and identity. This is a new kind of leadership, one that doesn't choose between tradition and progress, but blends both with confidence. Today's Indian innovators are not just focused on building wealth, but on creating meaningful impact. Their businesses are not only about numbers, but also about purpose. They believe in growth that is sustainable, inclusive, and ethical, inspired by the values they grew up with. Whether it's an Indian tech CEO leading a Fortune 500 company or a small town founder launching a startup that solves rural problems with AI, the approach is the same. Think big, act bold, and stay true to who you are. The modern Indian professional carries their heritage like a strength, not a limitation. They greet the world with humility, but compete with confidence. This balance between global ambition and cultural grounding is a major reason why Indian professionals are trusted around the world. They bring innovation with responsibility, speed with sensitivity, and leadership with empathy. In a time when the world is looking for more human-centered approaches to technology, business, and governance, India's voice stands out. Take Indian startups, for example. Many are now expanding across borders, solving problems not just for India, but for Africa, Southeast Asia, and beyond. Yet their leadership style still reflects Indian values, respect for elders, community over self, and a strong sense of moral responsibility. These are not just nice-to-have qualities, they are becoming competitive advantages in a world hungry for trust and purpose. This new generation of Indian professionals is writing a different kind of success story, one where you can wear a suit and still bow to your parents, where you can speak fluent English and still think in your mother tongue, and where you can lead the world without losing your soul. They are showing that the future doesn't belong to those who forget their roots. It belongs to those who grow from them. Around the world, traditional systems in politics, economics, healthcare, education, and governance are showing signs of fatigue. What once worked for developed nations is now outdated in the face of new global realities. Rigid institutions, aging populations, and slow-moving bureaucracies are struggling to keep up with a rapidly changing world. The need for fresh ideas, adaptive thinking, and dynamic leadership has never been greater. In this moment of global uncertainty, India is stepping forward, not as a follower, but as a provider of solutions. With its unique blend of youth, diversity, innovation, and resilience, India is offering the kind of perspective the world needs now. It's a perspective born from struggle, shaped by scale, and strengthened by values. Where old systems rely on tradition and stability, India thrives in complexity and change. It has learned to do more with less, to find opportunities in adversity, and to move fast despite obstacles. These experiences have prepared India to think differently, and the world is paying attention. Look at how India has approached technology. While many advanced nations debated the ethics of digital payments, India built UPI, a system so efficient and inclusive that even small vendors in remote villages now use smartphones to receive money instantly. While healthcare systems elsewhere are collapsing under cost and inefficiency, India is experimenting with low-cost, high-impact health solutions that can scale globally. In global diplomacy, India is also bringing a new voice, one that speaks of peace, collaboration, and balance rather than power games. While others choose sides, India builds bridges. In climate change discussions, it offers innovative solutions that combine sustainability with economic growth rather than sacrificing one for the other. The world doesn't need more of the same. It needs ideas that come from different experiences, different values, and different kinds of wisdom. India, with its deep cultural roots and forward-thinking youth, is uniquely positioned to deliver that. In boardrooms, in labs, in international forums, Indian voices are rising, not to replace the old world, but to help reshape the new one. In a time when the world is rethinking its direction, India isn't just part of the conversation, it's helping lead it. India stands at a unique point in its history, a nation where over 50% of the population is under the age of 30. This isn't just a demographic fact, it's a strategic advantage. While many countries are struggling with aging populations and shrinking workforces, India is bursting with youthful energy, ideas, and ambition. This young generation is not waiting for change, it is creating it. Young Indians today are more connected, informed, and globally aware than ever before. They've grown up in a world of rapid technological advancement, and they've adapted to it naturally. But what makes this generation even more powerful is their hunger, not just for success, but for impact. They want to build businesses, solve problems, create art, change systems, and reshape the future. The traditional ways of doing things, the old rules, don't appeal to them. They're questioning outdated structures, challenging authority, and thinking outside the box. Whether it's in technology, education, fashion, activism, or entrepreneurship, the youth of India are breaking barriers and rewriting the rules to make space for a more inclusive, creative, and dynamic world. Take the startup ecosystem, for example. Many of India's most successful startups in fintech, edtech, health tech, and e-commerce are being built by people in their 20s and early 30s. These entrepreneurs are not afraid to fail, and they are not afraid to dream big. They're building solutions for India, but with a vision that reaches the world. In the creative fields, Indian youth are using social media, digital tools, and new platforms to amplify their voices, share their culture, and inspire global audiences. From short films to tech innovations, from local crafts to global trends, their expression is fearless and borderless. This youth power is not just about numbers, it's about mindset. It's about having the courage to ask, why not? And the drive to go and make it happen. It's about believing that the future is not something we inherit, it's something we build. India's young population is its greatest asset. Their energy is electric, their ambition is unstoppable, and their creativity is rewriting the rules, not just for India, but for the entire world. For many years, India earned a reputation as the world's back office, a place where outsourcing thrived, customer support calls were handled, and basic IT services were delivered at a fraction of the global cost. While this phase played a vital role in India's economic rise, the country has moved far beyond it. Today, India is not just executing instructions from overseas, it is creating the instructions. It is no longer just supporting the world's innovation, it is leading it. Indian professionals and companies are now driving global solutions from the front, from software development to artificial intelligence, from biotechnology to clean energy. India is contributing original ideas, products, and technologies that are solving some of the world's most pressing challenges. India's tech talent is not just writing code. It is designing platforms, building apps, and launching innovations that are shaping the future. Whether it's the engineers behind global platforms like Google Pay or the architects of complex cloud systems, and cybersecurity networks, Indian minds are now building the very tools the world relies on. Startups in India are also disrupting global markets. Companies like Zerada, BY Juice, Zoho, and Freshworks began by solving local problems, but their models, simplicity, and scalability have attracted global attention. Many of these startups are now expanding into international markets, proving that Indian innovation has no boundaries. Moreover, India's strength lies in its ability to solve at scale. With a population of over 1.4 billion, any solution built here must be efficient, affordable, and robust. Qualities that make them easily adaptable around the world, whether it's low-cost healthcare delivery, fintech platforms like UPI, or edtech models for rural learning. India is showing how innovation from the global south can drive global transformation. This shift from executor to originator is changing how the world sees India. It's no longer just a place to cut costs, it's a place to create value. Countries and companies are now turning to India not just for labor, but for leadership. India is becoming the brain of global progress, where ideas are born, technologies are built, and solutions are scaled. The back office era is over. The era of Indian intellect, innovation, and influence is here, and it's just getting started. The world today is more divided than ever. Conflicts are rising, economies are uncertain, and trust in traditional powers is fading. In this global climate of tension and unpredictability, the countries that will lead are not necessarily the richest or the most powerful. They are the ones that are stable in their systems, reliable in their actions, and visionary in their outlook. And India is fast emerging as one of those nations. India's growing global influence is not just because of its size or population, but because of its steady hand in a world of uncertainty. While others swing between political extremes or struggle with unrest, India has shown resilience in governance, maturity in diplomacy, and balance in decision-making. It is building infrastructure, reforming laws, and making long-term investments that reflect a vision beyond election cycles. On the international stage, India is seen as a voice of reason, a nation that engages without aggression and stands firm without creating conflict. It maintains partnerships with global powers across the spectrum while staying true to its independent policy path. Whether it's in climate discussions, peace efforts, or trade negotiations, India is viewed as a bridge builder, not a barrier creator. This reliability is earning global trust. Countries are now turning to India not just as a market, but as a partner. Tech giants are investing here, global companies are setting up innovation hubs, and diplomatic circles are giving India more weight in decisions that shape the future of the planet. But trust isn't built overnight. It comes from consistency in behavior, in policy, and in values. India is proving that it can be counted on in crisis and in collaboration. Its vision for the future is not based on domination, but on inclusion and cooperation. This is exactly what the world needs now, and India is stepping up to provide it. As the old centers of power face internal struggles, the world is looking for new leaders who are calm in chaos and clear in direction. India, with its stability, reliability, and visionary mindset, is not just participating in this new world order, it is helping to shape it. For years, India has been seen as a developing nation striving to catch up with the rest of the world, improving infrastructure, modernizing industries, and growing its economy. But that chapter is now closing. The next decade will not be about catching up. It will be about leading. And India, with its population, innovation, and global influence, is only just beginning to unleash its full potential. India is no longer playing by someone else's rule book. It is writing its own. Whether it's in space exploration, digital technology, clean energy, or startup innovation, India is stepping onto the global stage not as a follower, but as a trailblazer. The foundations have been laid: digital public infrastructure, a young and skilled workforce, expanding international partnerships, and a vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem. More importantly, India is dreaming bigger. It is no longer satisfied with incremental progress. It wants breakthroughs. It wants to solve problems not just for itself, but for the world. From frugal innovation that helps the poorest survive to cutting-edge tech that powers billion-dollar unicorns, India is covering both ends of the spectrum with vision and courage. The world is watching this shift with interest and with growing respect. Major global players now seek India's input on critical issues. Foreign investors see India as a land of opportunity, and Indian talent in science, technology, leadership, and policy is shaping the global conversation. But here's the most exciting part. This is just the beginning. The energy on the ground is electric. The youth are brimming with ideas. The infrastructure is expanding at a record pace, and the hunger to lead, to build, to create, to contribute has never been stronger. India's rise is not accidental. It's the result of decades of resilience, reinvention, and relentless hard work. The next 10 years, ours will be defined by how bold India dares to be in setting new goals, solving global challenges, and shaping a future that benefits all. The world's center of gravity is shifting, and India is not running to catch up. It's walking with confidence, running with purpose, and preparing to lead. The journey ahead is long, but the momentum is unstoppable. And remember, India is just getting started. So as we look ahead to a world in transition, to systems being rebuilt, to voices rising from new corners of the map, one thing is clear. India is no longer waiting for permission to lead. It is stepping forward with purpose, vision, and confidence. This is not just a story of economic growth or digital transformation. This is the story of a nation that has learned from its past, embraced its present, and is now building the future, not only for itself, but for the world. To those who still see India through an outdated lens, it's time to look again, because the next chapter is not about catching up. It's about leading with values, innovation, and courage. And India, the world's youngest, boldest, and most resilient democracy, is just getting started.